What if the warning you've been ignoring is actually heaven's whisper? What if that uneasy feeling, that sudden change of plans, that person who disappeared without explanation wasn't coincidence at all? You've been searching for signs, praying for clarity, wondering why certain doors keep closing when you're trying so hard to walk through them. But maybe the real question isn't why things aren't working out. Maybe it's why you're being shielded from something you can't see yet. You thought God forgot you, but maybe silence isn't absence. Maybe it's protection. There are nights when you lie awake wondering if you're overthinking everything. That friendship that suddenly felt different. The relationship that seemed perfect until something shifted in your spirit. The opportunity that vanished just when you needed it most. You've questioned your instincts, wondered if you're being too sensitive, too cautious, too careful about the people you let into your life. Would you still trust divine timing if it meant missing out on what everyone else says you should want? Your heart has learned to recognize the difference between loneliness and solitude, between being alone and being abandoned. But sometimes the waiting feels endless. Sometimes the silence stretches so long that you wonder if anyone is listening at all. You watch others move forward while you feel stuck in the same season, wondering why your prayers seem to echo in empty rooms while theirs find immediate answers. The hardest part isn't the waiting itself. It's the doubt that creeps in during the quiet hours. The whispered questions about whether you're missing something, whether you're supposed to be more open, more trusting, more willing to take risks with your heart and your peace. You see others diving headfirst into connections that seem effortless while you feel this invisible hand pulling you back, this inner voice saying, "Wait, not yet. Be careful." And then you wonder if that voice is fear or if it's faith. Sometimes the greatest act of love is removal. Sometimes what feels like rejection is actually redirection towards something your soul isn't ready to see yet. When doors close without explanation, when people drift away despite your efforts, when opportunities dissolve just as they seemed within reach, there's often a deeper current at work beneath the surface of disappointment. Maybe that's why it's been taking so long. Because heaven's been building your discernment first. Think about the way plants grow in darkness before they ever see light. How roots spread deep underground, creating a foundation strong enough to support what will eventually bloom above the surface. What if your season of waiting, of watching, of feeling protected from connections others rush into, is actually your roots growing deeper? What if the very thing that feels like isolation is actually preparation for a kind of connection your soul has never experienced before? There's sacred wisdom in the pause, divine intelligence in the delay. When your spirit feels unsettled around certain people, when conversations leave you drained rather than energized, when relationships require you to dim your light to make others comfortable, something deeper than logic is speaking. Your soul recognizes what your mind hasn't processed yet. The people meant for your life won't require you to question your worth to earn their presence. Our minds crave quick answers, immediate resolution, clear explanations for why things unfold the way they do. But faith teaches us to sit with questions until peace becomes the answer. It shows us that protection doesn't always look like provision. Sometimes it looks like prevention. Sometimes the greatest gift is what doesn't happen, the door that doesn't open, the person who doesn't stay. When you look back at the connections that felt intense but left you anxious, the opportunities that seemed perfect but required you to compromise your values, the relationships that promised everything but delivered confusion, you begin to see the pattern. What felt like missing out was actually being spared. What looked like loss was actually love in disguise. Maybe it was never about finding the right people, but becoming someone who could recognize them when they arrived. Protection often comes disguised as disappointment. The job that didn't work out because the company was hiding financial troubles. The relationship that ended before you discovered their true character. The friendship that faded before you realized their intentions weren't pure. The invitation that got canceled before you walked into a situation that would have compromised your peace. You've been asking why certain doors keep closing. But maybe the question is, what would have happened if they had stayed open? What if that uncomfortable feeling in your spirit wasn't anxiety but awareness? What if that sudden urge to step back wasn't fear but divine guidance steering you away from harm you couldn't see coming? The universe has a way of removing what doesn't serve your highest good, even when your heart isn't ready to let go, even when your mind can't understand why, even when everyone around you thinks you're being too cautious, too selective, too careful about who you trust with your time and energy. There's something beautiful about a heart that has learned to honor its own boundaries. Something powerful about a spirit that chooses peace over popularity, solitude over settling, divine timing over human pressure. You're not missing out on what's meant for you. You're being preserved for what's worthy of you. When the right connections come, they won't leave you questioning your intuition. They won't require you to silence your inner voice or compromise your values. They won't make you choose between your peace and their presence. Because what's meant for you will align with who you're becoming, not who you used to be. One day you'll look back and realize the silence wasn't empty. It was the sound of your roots growing deeper. The waiting wasn't wasted. It was the space between who you were and who you were meant to become. And every door that closed, every person who walked away, every opportunity that dissolved was actually divine protection, clearing the path for something better than you knew to ask for. 4. Your spirit has been speaking a language your mind is still learning to understand. That restlessness when certain conversations begin. The way your energy shifts when specific people enter the room. The quiet voice that whispers caution when everyone else is encouraging you to move forward. You've dismissed these moments as overthinking, as being too sensitive, as walls you need to tear down rather than boundaries you need to honor. But what if your spirit has been your most faithful guardian all along? There are conversations that leave you feeling emptier than before they started. Relationships that drain your light while promising to brighten your world. Opportunities that glitter with possibility but carry an undertone that makes your soul recoil. You've wondered if you're missing out, if you're being too careful, if faith means saying yes to everything that looks like a blessing from a distance. The truth is more nuanced than that. Sometimes the strongest faith shows up as the wisdom to wait. Sometimes trust means trusting what you feel even when you can't explain why you feel it. Your heart has been learning to distinguish between divine peace and human pressure, between what feels right and what looks right, between connections that add to your life and connections that subtract from who you're becoming. This discernment didn't develop overnight. It grew through seasons of learning, through moments when you chose comfort over conviction and later discovered the cost. There's profound intelligence in the way your spirit responds to energy before your mind processes intention. The way your body tenses around certain people even when their words sound kind. The way sleep becomes elusive after interactions that seemed pleasant on the surface but left something unsettled in your soul. Your entire being is designed to recognize what serves your highest good and what threatens your peace. Maybe that's why some relationships feel like work, while others feel like rest. Why some conversations energize you while others exhaust you. Why some invitations spark joy while others spark anxiety you can't quite name. Your spirit isn't malfunctioning when it reacts this way. It's functioning exactly as intended. Trust the gentle nudges that guide you toward peace. Honor the wisdom that whispers caution when others encourage haste. Your protection has been active all along, clearing paths and closing doors with divine precision. If this message reached your heart at exactly the right moment, write Amen below and know that your waiting is sacred preparation for something beautiful.